Good evening. Welcome to the premium forecast discussion for the long range that we do every week. Of course, it's February 16th, 2014, and I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. I have some good news and bad news. The good news is that we're getting a break for this week. The bad news is I have new data, and unfortunately, winter is not going away all that easily. Should have known better. I saw the pattern starting to collapse. I'm like, oh, good, here comes the shift. We shift the upper level low from the Aleutians to the Gulf of Alaska. It floods the United States, and we get a nice little end to the winter. But now we have this data here. And what we see here over the past several days, over the past 7 days, is this warming has really exploded. And the warming impact that we've seen was actually greater than what was forecasted. And that pretty much changes the whole dynamics of the pattern heading into March. And unfortunately, at least through March 15th, possibly till March 20th, we're going to be under the gun for a major, unfortunate cold pattern to continue. That means more snow, more snowstorm chances at least, and of course the continuation of cold weather. But of course orientation matters, so let's take a look at exactly where this warming has taken place. First of all, in the cross section of the stratosphere and troposphere, down here's the troposphere up to 100 millibars, and from 100 millibars on up, that is the stratosphere. Now, what we saw here develop, and we're seeing developing once again, is that these warming episodes since January punch down to 70 millibars, and we get a little bit of reprieve, and then punch down again. Now, see this reprieve here? There's a bit of a lag time here. So here we have the warming, and of course we've had a very active February. Here's our cooling, and of course now we're going to kind of back off a little bit, get a little bit warmer here, at least back to normal. And then here comes our next warming episode, and of course this is going to support a very active start to March because of this warming. Now, like I said, orientation matters. Now, a couple of days ago, probably about 7 days ago or so, 10 days ago, I was saying that look, it looks like the winter's going to back off a bit. Looks like the best warming's going to be focused over Asia. That changes the wavelength. Yes, you'll get a ridge, but the trough will be focused more towards the Mississippi River Valley and towards the southern plains. And as a result, we'll be on the warm side of that trough, and so the storm track will be shifted a little bit further west. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you like snow and cold weather, one major aspect changed, and that was where the warming was taking place. So here we are now, and here's the forecast. I think you can all see the difference. The strongest warming is going to be over portions of Quebec and Ontario, especially over Quebec, and just to the south and just along the south shore of the Hudson Bay. This is incredibly important to point out here, because what we're basically seeing here is that 10 days from now, for February 26th, basically this supports the polar vortex to set up in just the right position to support a very active winter pattern, and a cold one at that, for the eastern United States. And we also have continued warming around the Aleutian Islands, so this is going to continue to pump up our negative EPO ridge. So you got a nice trough around the Aleutians, a powerful ridge pumped up into Alaska, so they'll stay nice and warm, and then a strong northerly flow right from the Arctic right into the eastern two-thirds of the United States, and of course that means more cold air. So what we've basically seen is the stratosphere behave a little bit more aggressively than what was forecasted, and as a result, we have to push winter on through at least mid to late March. And that means we're going to continue to see the potential for some major winter storms. Now, as far as the sea surface temperatures are concerned, they continue to remain in strong support for a very amplified pattern. all this warm water here is going to continue to support storms developing around the Aleutians and a nice solid ridge developing over the west coast and a trough in the east coast. And of course, we do have some minor support for a negative NAO pattern, Again, this is not a perfect Atlantic pattern here. Hasn't been all winter. If it was, man, I don't even want to think about how much snow we would have gotten. But this is one that's marginal at best. And then in the southern Pacific, I just want to point out that we pretty much have a neutral El Nino southern oscillation phase here. It's a little bit on the cool side, but nothing dramatic in nature. In terms of the convection out here in the Pacific, we continue to see these low pressure systems down here. They're being enhanced by convection developing around the dateline and over the tropical Pacific here. And these disturbances, what they're doing is that they're cutting under the trough that has been locked in here to the south of the Aleutians, and they're kind of breaking off and enhancing our subtropical jet stream. And this is very interesting because this right here, I think, could be our next major storm in about 10 days. You're looking at it right now. Watch out for this. Let's zoom in on it. Let's give it a nice close shot here. See that little swirl out there in the Pacific? This right here could be the next big storm in about 10 days, 9 to 10 days. And the European model guidance is already starting to pick it up here. And what I find very interesting about this low pressure system is not necessarily its intensity, but look where it's tracking. It's just kind of making its own way to the south of the main flow of the polar jet stream here. Just kind of doing its own thing, okay? The reason why I find this interesting is that it's already picking up plenty of moisture. It's already kind of carving its own path. Now, when this starts to interact with the polar jet stream over North America, it's going to have a very good potential of being a very dynamic and energized storm because it already is energetic and dynamic on its own without any influences from the polar air. So this little swirl here is something to watch out for the next 9 days. This has me concerned here. This could be another blockbuster storm in about 9 to 10 days that we're going to have to keep an eye on. Now, as far as the MJO, wow, now we've seen the changes in the stratosphere and we're seeing some changes in the tropical Pacific, as I was just showing. Now, all the models are going into phase 6, 7, and 8. And as you know, as I hope you know, these phases are highly supportive for very active East Coast winter storm patterns. And this goes from February 16th, which is today, all the way through March 2nd. And if you extend this goes out to March 17th, it basically stays in a phase 7, 8, and 1 area before going into a neutral phase by around March 15th or so. So what this is showing us from the European model guidance and also from other model guidance as well is that we are about to enter another very active pattern. We get a little bit of a reprieve this coming week, really for the second half of this week. And then it gets busy once again with another cold pattern and another threat for a major storm. Now again, this is all predicated on what's happened right now. The fact that the stratosphere has warmed in such a way that was not expected, it's more aggressive and more focused over North America, is paramount to supporting a longer winter pattern. If the warming had developed as expected more towards Asia, we would definitely be in a reprieve here. We'd back off, slow back off. We'll get our cold shots, but it wouldn't be that bad. But now that we've seen it focused over North America, you can see all the domino effects kind of lining up here once again, as it looks like it's going to be another winter that just will not quit as we head into March. So we have the satellite, we saw that. So the MJO, we saw that. Now let's take a look at the models. And this is basically the European Ensemble model guidance from AmericanWeather.com. That's AmericanWX.com. It's Special hat tip to Alan Huffman, who creates these maps. Absolutely outstanding. Look, for like $10 a month, this is well worth it. So if you haven't, if you're looking for some model guidance and want to get a little bit more of a graphical feel of the models, especially the Ensemble European guidance, I would strongly suggest investing in this because it's well worth it. That was unsolicited. I just want to say that I like when I see a good product, I like to share it, and this is a great product. Now, what this is showing me is the polar vortex is going to return back towards North America and dive south. And unfortunately, it's going to take a lot of cold air with it. Now, this setup here is troubling to me, not just because of the cold air. This right here. See this right here? This is a disturbance, and it's going to be shooting disturbance after disturbance under this ridge. And we all know what that means. That means that we're going to have these subtropical disturbances loaded with moisture from the Pacific, picking up moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, interacting with disturbances that dive south from the polar jet stream. We've been through this through all February, and it looks like we're going to be continuing it in March, unfortunately, based on what we're seeing right now and based on the way the pattern is shaping up. And if you want to take a look at the 850 millibar temperatures with that, over North America, well, they're cold, very cold. So it looks like the cold air is back, the active winter weather is back. When we take a look at a couple of days out, keep an eye on this low pressure system right here. We definitely have something brewing out here by around February 24th or so. And clearly we have an area low pressure again. Here we go. Right around February 24th. Low pressure off North Carolina coast. 24 hours later, that low pressure system is to the east of Maine. So you kind of guess where this track is going here. And if you want to, let's go pull up another area, letter model guidance. Kind of do this on the fly for you, kind of get you an idea here of what we're dealing with here. Go to another model source, Storm Vista Weather Models, another great source here. A little bit more expensive, but definitely. No, this is not denied. Here we go. I want to show you this because this is kind of important. Break down the European model guidance here. Pull this up. This is what I do every day, so now you get to see it. There we go. So take a look at this. Move through. Here comes our big hype storm for Tuesday. Again, not much, maybe 2 to 4 inches, maybe 2 to 5 inches to the north and west of New York City around Connecticut. Not a big deal for Tuesday, so don't worry about it. Don't worry. Won't be that big of a deal. Then we have a nice cold front that moves through. We actually warm up on Friday. Very nice. Now, by the time we get to next weekend, we got a couple of storms here that we're going to have to keep an eye on. The first one is Sunday. That kind of resets up the pattern here, and considering the way that our pattern has been setting up here, I'd keep an eye on this storm to see how it evolves. And then after that, we have more Arctic air coming in, and look, another storm for Wednesday, Tuesday into Wednesday. Now, this isn't scientific, I'll be honest with you. But considering the way the pattern's been, and it seems like every Tuesday and Wednesday we get a winter storm, I'd probably keep an eye around February 26th. That unfortunately looks like it could be something that we're going to deal with as a major winter storm. Well, I'm not that impressed with the 23rd yet. We'll have to keep an eye on it. I don't really like the way the 500 millibar pattern shows up on here to support this storm. A lack of blocking, for example, and the ridge is all in the wrong place here. It's way too far off to the west here. What you want is a ridge right around here. So it's not optimal, that is for sure. If anything, it's probably a rainstorm ending as snow. But keep an eye on it. And then the next one after that, around the 25th and 26th, that looks like something that could be trouble. And finally, I just want to show This is the anomalies, 500 millibar anomalies, back at AmericanWeather.com. The ensembles. And a couple of key aspects show up to me that are really impressive. One, the very powerful upper level low to the south of the Aleutians, the very powerful ridge over the west coast. That means all our Arctic air is streaming south. Deep trough in the east. Not a textbook negative NAO pattern, but it gets the job done for the most part. Not perfect, but gets the job done, as I said. And an active subtropical jet stream. You combine that with the 850 millibar temperature anomalies, and yeah, it's cold. It's going to be cold, definitely, for the end of February and start of March. I'm going to take a look at the average overall for a 7 to 10 day average. Looks like the coldest air is going to be focused over the plains, but it will bleed into the east as our pattern reloads and locks back in. So that is the forecast discussion for tonight. I know I said that winter looks like it's about to be coming to an end, but I did throw some caveats in there that, hey, if this happens, if that happens, things will change. Well, unfortunately, those things have happened. And as a result, it looks like winter is not going to be giving up all that easily. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Of course, thank you for being a premium member. And thank you for being patient as I fixed some of the software here that, of course, had a nice little glitch. Probably, I know what happened. The computer, my Mac, saw the fact that we were going to have more snow and went on a revolt. That's exactly what happened. That's the story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as always, I hope you have a great night, and as always, stay safe out there.